Hi everyone, thanks for checking out another InfoSec Hub video. Today we're going to talk about port scanning and what it is and how you can use it for yourself. A port is basically an interface on which a service can run. So let me simplify that. If you run a web server, then port 80 should be open. There's a whole list of TCP and UDP ports. If you check list of TCP UDP ports, you get an overview. Port 80 is for web server, port 21 is for FTP, port 22 is SSH, and with SSH you can also do secure copy, those kind of things. So email is 25, for instance. So you can scan what kind of ports are open behind an IP address, and this tells you what kind of servers are behind it and if they're accessible. You can do this with IP addresses. So if you have a server running on your network and you made sure that it's accessible over the internet, you can see using this website, whatismyip.com, if that port is indeed open. I don't have a server running on my network at the moment, so I'm going to do this with a publicly available website. And then you should know the IP address, because here they specifically ask you for an IP address and not a domain name. So we're first going to do a DNS lookup. So here we can fill in the domain name, and this is the domain of a Dutch news website. And when you do a lookup, then you see you get the IP address back. And you get two IP addresses back, and this is probably because it is there's a load balancer placed before the actual servers, I think. You can call me out on that, but that's what I'm thinking. But we're gonna select one IP address here, and since it's a website, it's port 80. So we go back here and we enter the IP address. We do a single port scan, and we're going to scan port 80 just to see if indeed it's a website and if there's a web server running behind this IP address. So let's do a scan, and here you see the results for the IP address, and we have an open port on port 80. Makes sense because it is a news website, so web traffic here. You see, Dutch news website, it works. We can also see if there's an FTP server active, for instance, behind this IP address. I don't think so, wouldn't be smart, but you never know. Let's do a scan. And you see here the status is closed. So there's not an FTP server running behind this IP address. It's a web server, and that's where it is. What we can check, however, is HTTPS port number, for instance, to see 443. That should be open as well. So that's for secure web traffic. And you see that port is open as well. So this can be very useful to do some reconnaissance on what ports are open on a certain IP address. It can also help you to see if you can reach your own server over the internet and if the port is configured correctly, because there's a request coming from the internet going to your router, and then your router needs to say, hey, it's coming from the internet and needs to be transported locally through that server. So the request go to the router, to the server needs to respond back through the router back onto the internet. And with this, you can see if you configure that, it's called something like network address translation, NAT. You need to put that on your router to make sure that all the requests coming from the internet are being accepted and they're redirected basically to the web server. So this could also be a tool to determine if that whole configuration is correct. It could also be used by hackers to see what kind of port is open, and now you know 443 is open, port 80 is open, and then you go a little bit deeper with more tools that are available in Kali Linux, maybe even online, but that's something we're going to talk about in future videos. Thanks for watching. Hope you find it useful. If so, subscribe to my channel, and we hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.